My wife and I work at the same marketing firm. Lucy is a customer ambassador. Don't ask what that is. I still don't know what her job is, other than making out with customers. I'm Mark and I lead the IT team. Everything was going well for us. We were employed, happy, finished renovating our dilapidated house, and we had 2 wonderful children, 13-year-old Emma and 11-year-old Daniel. We live close to our families and have close friendships. We are both over 30 and we suit each other. Although, in terms of looks, she is 1.75 meters tall with long blonde hair and beautiful blue eyes. Lucy claims her family lives in Sweden, and she looks Scandinavian. Slim, bright, and lively, she never seems to stand still. I'm 1.75 meters tall with sandy hair and prefer endurance sports such as cycling and running. So, I have a slim build and am physically fit, but not in an ostentatiously athletic way. I was surprised when I was invited to a long weekend on a private island owned by one of our firm's clients, Jack Edwards. Our CEO explained that he and his wife, Margaret, were traveling along with several directors and their partners. Lucy was also invited as she was the client's main contact. It sounded like I was there to crunch the numbers, but hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Jack explained that the client was very wealthy and could easily become our firm's largest client. We would leave early Friday morning and return on Monday on a private charter, and everything would be provided to us. Lucy knew everything when I mentioned it on the way home. She had been working with the client for several months and seemed very impressed and was looking forward to the free weekend. I asked her about the weekend, but she didn't seem to know much, so I asked her about the client. Lucy explained that his name was William Fellows and said that he was in his mid-40s, looked good, exuded self-confidence, and had inherited the family fortune. She seemed a little fascinated, describing him as bossy and reserved, among other things. Great, I thought to myself, he sounds like an arrogant man, but I'll probably keep that observation to myself until the weekend. 2 weeks later, on a Friday morning, we found ourselves on a private charter plane. I must say I was impressed. If the island was his, he must be absolutely well equipped. I don't know exactly what I expected, but it seemed huge, maybe 5 miles long and a couple of miles wide judging by what we saw as we came into land. It looked like a 5-star resort, with the main buildings located behind the white sandy beach that formed a perfect crescent. Lucy was beside herself with delight, and the others were not far behind her. We were shown to our rooms and then went to lunch with our host on the veranda overlooking the bay. I wanted to hate him, but William seemed like a reasonable guy. Lucy even downplayed his appearance. He looked like George Clooney. He thanked us for coming and told us to make ourselves at home. We chatted with the other 3 couples from our firm and met a stunning brunette named Charlotte, who I assumed was William's weekend date. Besides the wait staff, the only guy there who wasn't introduced to us looked like a security guard and hung around in the background. I wondered what kind of enemies William had that, even on a desert island, he still needed protection. William greeted Lucy like an old friend, and they felt very comfortable in each other's company. She and the others seemed to obey most of his words. I suppose this was natural since he was an unusually generous host and their most valuable client. We had a great afternoon snorkeling, kayaking, and generally lazing around in the bay. Free drinks and food were constantly offered. Later, we enjoyed the evening dinner with all the members of the group. The atmosphere was friendly and relaxed as we chatted in small groups. Charlotte came up to us and introduced herself. She was sweet and talked about growing up in England. I got the impression that she was from a wealthy family, but she seemed genuinely nice. I wondered if she was a model or maybe she didn't need to work. To my surprise, she was quite flirty with me, even in front of Lucy. I managed to politely avoid her, simply chalking it up to being too friendly, full-time care, no children, time to relax, and an idyllic location, the perfect setting for a romantic night. Lucy was particularly loving, and her lovemaking was intense. She confessed her love for me on multiple occasions. It was the best night in a long time. Maybe there's something to this Love Island idea after all. I was hoping for a repeat the next morning, but Lucy quickly showered and was ready for breakfast. I finally managed to drag myself out of bed and catch up with her while she was talking to Jack and William. I wondered if it was work, as both Jack and Lucy looked slightly stressed. Perhaps William was making out and using the weekend to push them into something work-related. As I approached, the conversation broke down, and after a quick snack, we and the others continued to enjoy another beautiful day by the pool. On Saturday, we went out to dinner, and I noticed that Lucy had become more dressed up. She looked stunning in a red satin evening dress and stilettos. After dinner, William asked if we could spare him a few minutes. We agreed and followed him into the office, followed by a security guard. William sat down in a high-backed leather chair, and I sat on the sofa opposite Lucy, noting that she sat slightly away from me. After a long pause, William spoke. "I have a proposal for you, Mark. It is personal." "Okay," I answered, trying to appear calm despite being completely stunned. William continued, "I've had the pleasure of working with Lucy and getting to know her better over the past few months, and it's been an absolute pleasure. We get on fantastically well and have built a great relationship." He paused, perhaps waiting for my reaction, but I had no idea where he was going with this, although the word relationship made me feel a little uneasy. He continued casually, "As a result, I have a proposal. I would like to spend the rest of the weekend with Lucy. Of course, I will be happy to compensate for the time she would have to spend with you, and to do this, I intend to transfer $100,000 into your joint account." I laughed. It was supposed to be a joke, and I couldn't resist making one. "Well, William, it looks like you're a little tight-fisted. Didn't Robert Redford offer more than £1 million for Demi Moore?" Nobody laughed anymore. William continued, "As in any other business, I'm willing to negotiate the price to get what I want. Besides, Charlotte will be in a difficult situation, and I would be glad if you would agree to entertain her." I turned to Lucy, expecting her to smile, but she just looked worried. "This is not a joke, Mark. William invited me to join him, and I think that we should seriously consider this offer." I wanted to hit him, but when I looked back, the guard was already close. I was surprised how he managed it. I didn't even see him move. William continued to say, "I assure you that your wife fully supports this idea. Where's the harm? We'll all have a great time, and you'll make a significant amount of money." I turned to Lucy. Maybe the difference in price is explained by the fact that Demi Moore didn't want it for that amount. Lucy flinched at this remark, but she was smart enough not to say anything. I desperately tried to think but was forced to focus on my breathing, which was becoming increasingly labored. I looked at the guard. His demeanor had completely changed. He looked wary and focused on my movements, and with good reason, since I really wanted to punch William in his pretty face. "What is your name, ex-military? Judging by your appearance?" "Shane, sir, and I cannot comment on this matter. And if I attacked your boss, I think you could kill me with your bare hands or something." Shane smiled. "Maybe just to keep me from doing this, sir." Turning to William, I said, "It's a good thing you brought him, otherwise, I would have beaten the crap out of you." William didn't seem bothered at all. "Let us not rush, Mark. A lot depends on this." Lucy spoke next. "Mark, think about it. Just a couple of days, and money will change our lives forever." I was devastated. She clearly planned and wanted this. "Tell me, dear, did the offer of money come after you two decided to do this?" Having received no answer, I continued, "I think Charlotte was also offered to sweeten the deal." "Who is she?" "A prostitute." William replied, "Charlotte is my personal friend. In addition to being rich, she is a very high-class escort and only takes contracts that interest her. Rest assured, with her, you will experience something out of the ordinary. I think that makes them both prostitutes." Another wince from Lucy, but no softening words. "Well, William, you can put your money up your perfumed backside." It was at this moment that Lucy spoke and showed her true colors. "This is my body and I want to do this. It's just sex, and we'll both be interested in exploring it with others. William and I like each other, but that's it. That doesn't change our love for each other. I'm sure you and Charlotte will have a good time too." I was stunned by her words, which slowly came to me. "The difference, my dear wife, is that I don't want anyone else. And this is much more than you imagine. This is betrayal and conspiracy behind my back. I will never be able to trust you again, and if you are ready to do it once, then why not do it again? Lucy quickly replied, "You are overreacting. I told you about this, so it's not a conspiracy or a secret, and I'm absolutely truthful. This will happen, and then I will return, becoming completely yours. If you love me, you will only allow me this one thing. Think about what we can do with the money, holidays with the kids, everything. Don't you dare use our children as an excuse. We don't need money, and don't think I'll take you back. Your honesty will only work if we agree on something together, and the only person you agree on anything with is this pompous man. Money is just an excuse. You want and plan to do it. I think the money and Charlotte are just because you didn't think I'd agree. Well, you're right. Even with money, I still don't agree." Lucy continued, "You're right. I want to do this. I want to experience something different, something new, and I am attracted to William. But this should not hurt us. I don't want to change, and you think this is better. Have you already made your choice? Even dressed up for it? Don't resist, baby. You won't like the consequences." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Well, you won't come out of this with good consequences if you fight this or go for a divorce. You will lose everything, your home, children, even your job will be in jeopardy. And there is no need for this. So just accept it. Everything will be much easier. See you tomorrow, and remember, I love you and only you." I needed to leave. Breathing was becoming a real problem, and if I stayed, I would lose it. I stood up, feeling unsteady, and staggered towards the door. I heard Lucy calling my name, but I kept walking. As I was crossing the hall, Charlotte came up to me and hugged me, saying that everything would be fine. I turned to her. "Who are you, a consolation prize?" She walked away with her head held high. I kept walking and eventually got outside and walked halfway across the yard. But I didn't feel very good. I heard footsteps behind me and was disappointed to see that it was Shane and not Lucy. "Listen, Shane, you just need to back off," I said. "I would love to, but I need to make sure you don't do anything stupid. For example, do you have any ideas?" "Because I don't have any," Shane replied. "Mark, you don't look too good. Just sit against the wall, pull your knees up, and focus on taking long, slow breaths," Shane suggested. After a few minutes, I calmed down. "Thank you. I probably don't know what it was. Possibly an anxiety or panic attack," I said. Shane replied, "You were quite pale, but now you look more pink. Speaking of stupid ideas, is there a way to get out of this hole?" I asked. Shane replied seriously, "You can't get off this island today. There are no boats. The plane and pilot left for another charter. You might be able to radio for help, but a cheating wife is hardly an emergency. I'm glad you think she's unfaithful. She doesn't seem to understand that, and I'm already starting to doubt myself. What should I do?" I asked. "Because of you, I can't even beat the crap out of him," I said. "Yes, sorry about that. I would like to step aside, but I will never find a job again," Shane continued. "Listen, think about what you are going to do and come up with a plan. Whatever you need to do can wait until Monday. It's like in the army. Form a plan, sit quietly, and don't tell them what you're going to do," Shane advised. "The problem is that I have no idea what to do. They seem to have everything planned, and I will have to sit and suffer tomorrow and Monday while you babysit me," I replied. After a long pause, Shane suggested, "There's a ship coming early Monday morning with cargo. You can take it if you want to avoid the plane with everyone else going home. They can't stop you. No one, including me, wants to be accused of kidnapping or imprisonment. I can even go with you. This contract is losing its attractiveness. I don't like being on the wrong side, even if it pays well. Okay, this will help. I just need to get through tomorrow. Tell you what, why don't we go on a hike around the island tomorrow morning to take your mind off all this nonsense? Besides, you should think about Charlotte. She's a wonderful girl, and it looks like you have nothing to lose," Shane suggested. "I'll go back there. You never know, maybe she'll change her mind," I said. She, of course, did not change her mind, but surprisingly, I fell asleep. I think from fatigue. The next morning, I changed into my gym clothes and hurried down the stairs, hoping to avoid everyone and go on my date with Shane. Unfortunately, as soon as I entered the dining room, Silence reigned there. I looked for something quick to eat and grabbed some fruit. The noise of conversations was heard. I heard comments about everything being fine, no big deal, she will come back. Then CFO John Cousins came up with his wife. Look, we've all been through this. Just let it happen. It's nothing personal. He dates other wives, but then moves on, and he is very generous, he said. At that moment, Lucy and William appeared. She looked absolutely pleased with herself. I would say radiant if I had to describe it. At least she did until she noticed me. Her smile faded. She let go of that man's hand and came over to kiss or hug me. I pulled her away at arm's length and looked around. God! I thought what a fool I was. Everyone knew what would happen before the weekend even started. What an absolute fool I was. I went out. Lucy spoke. Please stay, Mark. We can chat with the group and have another good day together. I looked around. All eyes were fixed on me, some in anticipation, others clearly amused by this scene. No, he paid for you and can keep you. But before I go, I need to tell the group something. I believe this weekend has been planned for quite some time, and you all have known about it. So it's only fair that you all hear what I have to say. All members of the group looked at each other in shock, nervously glancing at each other. Jack and Margaret, I would never have come this weekend if you weren't here. It never occurred to me that you would be involved in something so vile. You know, and approve of what he does like some kind of fan club of sick voyeurs. I hope you enjoyed keeping me blind. I noticed how they all began to move awkwardly. This was clearly not part of their plans. I actually felt we were friends, and making me feel at home so they could arrange everything was a nice touch. And you're wrong, Bill. This is very personal. So thank you for your role in destroying my marriage. The fact that they are willing to use leverage over my children is frankly disgusting. I don't allow anyone to threaten my children. Lucy insisted. You're making too big a deal out of this. It was merely a momentary lapse, a fleeting encounter that shouldn't shake our foundation. I've already expressed my love. I interjected. Here comes the initial line of defense. Trying to downplay it, are we? I'm well aware you had a game plan for how I'd react, being the captain and all. So, let's dissect what you had in mind. Phase A, we stay put, and you gradually normalize the situation before we return home. You and your cohorts probably even discussed this seriously, preemptively addressing the issue on your behalf. No doubt, you expect me to swallow my pride, refrain from overreacting, and maturely accept the situation. After all, it's just my ego and pride, right? You know it's a futile effort, but hey, it's all part of the easing in process. So, for Phase B, once the weekend wraps up, you relinquish control to me. We'll engage in intimacy, lots of it, perhaps even exploring new territories. Leveraging your connections. We'll rejuvenate our bond and emerge stronger than ever. I wouldn't be surprised if you've plotted ways to seduce me. After all, sweetheart, you can't let my sense of loss linger too long. Lucy glanced nervously at William, indicating that my remark struck a chord. Additionally, we'll have access to the funds he promised you. With the earnings from your side endeavors, we can treat the kids to a Disneyland trip and meet Mickey. These words elicited visible reactions from several individuals, evident from their shudders. If we are still fighting, Phase B kicks in. You already sowed the seed last night. If I really love you, then I should allow you to do this. For 15 years, you have been a wonderful wife, and this is just one night for you. Yes, this may begin to weaken my resolve, but what do I get after 15 years of devotion to you if I'm treated like garbage? You knew I would never agree, and you attack me with a complete lack of respect. So this plan won't work. Now you're a little worried. Maybe you better give me time to cool down. In a week or two, you'll find me drowning my sorrows in a bar somewhere, and then you'll ask for forgiveness. This is Phase D. You actually regret all this. You didn't realize it would hurt me so much, and you never would have done it if you had known. You love me, beg, cry, and all that. I must admit that you have a chance. But then the way you just walked hand in hand with him in front of everyone and looked so delighted with yourself confirmed to me that there really was no guilt or regret, only contempt and a desire to humiliate me. Phase D won't work for you. So finally, a backup plan may be needed. Phase E, threats. You will take all the money, the house, and set the children on me. You've already suggested that I might lose my job. William will pay to find you the best lawyers. I will end my life sad and lonely. You can even threaten to move in with him and live happily ever after with our children." William raised his head so quickly that I almost laughed. "Oh God. It looks like your lover doesn't really want your children, baby." Lucy finally found her voice. "It's really not that big of a problem," she began. "Why don't we just relax and give ourselves time to think? This is phase A, Lucy. We've already been through this," I said categorically. "So why don't we save everyone time and move on to the final result?" This is what I was thinking about last night, and my conclusion is that everyone, including the children, would be better off if we divorced. This is much healthier than living in an unhappy home. At the end of the day, you can't be happy if you're doing this crap, and I'm certainly not happy. You can try to stop me from seeing my kids, but you know I'm a good father, and that's good for them. And they're old enough to understand. I doubt your family and friends will support you after they find out what you did. I don't care about money. It's always been you." Everyone sat in shocked silence, eyes wide as goldfish. "Do any of you have any more tips? Did I miss anything? No? I don't think so. Oh, and one more thing. Jack, you can shove your job up your rear, but I'll see you in court for a forced dismissal case. My job depends on the client having my wife. It seems that this is simply the reason." With that, I walked out. You could have heard a pin drop. Shane followed me as always. As we left, Shane chuckled. "Well done. I see that you took to heart the advice to keep the plan to yourself." I couldn't help but smile. "Yes, it looks like I failed at this idea." Shane actually laughed as we left the building. "It's good that you remained a civilian. You would never have achieved success in the army anyway. Let's go." Shane grabbed his backpack and set off at a leisurely pace up the coast. After a mile, I was having trouble keeping up with him and began to think that perhaps it was a mistake. I heard him shout something from up front about how physical torture is a great way to take your mind off mental torment. My burning muscles and lungs seemed to agree. The scenery was breathtaking, and Shane was in good company. He switched from asking about me to hilarious stories from his time in the British Army. We spent